Hook. Hey, everybody! We're back. I'm back again on a Friday afternoon, Friday evening, wherever you're coming from. I guess it's probably pretty much Friday evening everywhere. We are back with another edition of Friday Night Beer Time, or Friday night. It's just time to, as is tradition, hail in the weekend with an ice cold beer and a look back on some of the wackiness that's been going on the internet and in pop culture and in the commonplace over the last couple weeks. I've been gone for a couple weeks, so this is a nice return, getting back to some normalcy here. Life's been pretty complicated over the last couple weeks, so I apologize for missing last week's beer show, But hopefully, I think we're back on track at this point, which is good because we've got ourselves a nice big show coming up tomorrow over, right here at on Salt the Streets. I say it's over there, but really it's still here. It feels like a different YouTube channel, but it's not. For episode 147, we didn't change the time, but we got episode 147 Salt the Street podcast coming out tomorrow, noon Pacific time. Of course, it is indeed a live show, so make sure you're there so you can join us in the chat, and we all have ourselves a good time as we work through the vicissitudes of our modern culture and governmental politics. So we'll be there tomorrow, noontime, going live. We've got a nice big show. It's gonna be fun. We got some viewer requests, some listener requests, and then it's basically just gonna be a giant kind of grab baggy type of show, with no particular order involved whatsoever. So it'll be hilariously awesome chaos. It's gonna be fun. So we've got lots of little stories. The last couple weeks of the news cycle has been kind of slow for certain things and kind of not for other things, but it was difficult to like shape a show around a few specifically large topics for tomorrow. So we're going to have a gang of shit covering from local stuff like we always do. There's been some interesting movements in our state as far as the future of the government is involved in some very interesting legislation and stuff like that. So we'll probably hit on some of that stuff. And of course, there's lots of things going on in the national news. So we'll be covering some of that, and then some very interesting movement on the international front, as is kind of the way of things these days. So we'll be doing that. It'll be a lot of fun. So be there again, noon Pacific time for myself and Donovan. Will be here in studio. We'll be kicking it for probably another, hopefully we don't go 7 hours like we did last episode. But hey, that was a lot of fun. Shout out to our girl Creatrix, who is just always a fucking blast to have on the show. Highly recommend everybody go out and check out her Twitch stream. If you're not, you probably should be. Shout out Kevin Garcia. What's up, big guy? Nice to see you in the chat. Good, sir. But what are we going to be doing today? Today is Cinco de Mayo, if we all remember correctly. It's after Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you and all that good stuff. We jump right into Cinco de Mayo. And in honor of such things, the local brewery Donovan and I were actually at earlier today has started to sell this. Oh no, the light's wrong. It's called Lucha Libre Mexican Lager. So in honor of the great American tradition of Cinco de Mayo, we're going to be cracking into this thing today. So let's take care of first things first. As is tradition, we need to be pouring ourselves a nice cold beer. And then we'll get into the nonsense, which we're going to be covering Tucker Carlson today and all the fun stuff around Tucker Carlson. Because it's been an interesting ride. So we'll go through all the ins and outs of that situation. And, possibly entertain some concepts of what he might be doing next. But of course, before we do that, cheers everybody. Sorry, my cameras are kind of still in a weird position. We're gonna have to change up the whole studio once again before the show tomorrow, because I'm just not liking this setup. So we'll go back to our more old school style. Oh, cheers everybody. That is good. That is a nice Mexican lager you can get behind without having to get behind Bud Light. Let's go. Because that, I'll probably touch on that tomorrow. If you guys haven't been following the Bud Light Budweiser fiasco, I think over the last week, Bud Light sales were down like 26% from if I'm recalling reading the reporting correctly. We'll probably go over some more of that stuff tomorrow, just because it'll be fun. I think that's the way to do it. But today it's all about Tucker Carlson. And of course, all of the leaks, the videos, we're going to go through the videos that have come out over the past week and a half since Tucker Carlson's, I guess we can call it parting of ways with Fox News. I think that's the way they put it. But all of the leaks have come out courtesy of that fantastic organization, Media Matters for America. And yes, I am being very sarcastic there. They are probably the most disingenuous, anti-free speech organization out there, and they only exist to smear anybody that is left of Stalin. So or right of Stalin. If you're right of Stalin, Media Matters is going to come after you and smear you if you get any kind of power. So we'll just take note of where these leaks are coming from. It's also very interesting to think that as we go through these videos, this is all like B footage, or it's not really B footage, it's the right term. It's like the pre, post, and like in between commercial break type of on-air chit-chat between Tucker Carlson and his production team, which kind of leads one to believe that the only way Media Matters could have gotten this information, gotten these actual files, I mean, these are digitized files at this point, was somebody gave them to Media Matters, somebody within the structure of Fox News, probably somebody that is working in, or has access to, I should say, the actual raw footage from each one of the recordings. So just bear that in mind as we go forward, and we'll just dive into it, because the idea here, Joseph, what's up, big guy? The idea here is that these leaks were supposed to be damaging to Tucker Carlson. For what reason, I don't know. Just other than the fact Media Matters hates Tucker Carlson because he's popular and he's anti-establishment. Late, am I? No, sir. You are not late. Well, maybe a couple minutes, but I am indeed late. I don't think we really went live till about, maybe about 5-6 minutes ago. Don't worry about it. Where was I? Media Matters, they suck, all this. Oh, yeah, it's supposed to be damaging to Tucker Carlson, which we'll see for ourselves, but I guarantee you none of this damages his reputation at all. None of it hurts his future career prospects at all. If anything, he's probably got more of a following today than he ever has in the past. So we will dive in. First off, we're not going to read any of the propaganda from Media Matters because it's all fucking nonsense, and they really don't actually say anything in this little article about each one of the videos. So the videos more or less speak for themselves. So let's have some fun and watch Tucker Carlson, hit piece video number 1. And then we'll see what our thoughts are about it.
Everyone in this company is thrilled that you're doing this. I've gotten more calls from people about it.
Oh, that's great. Whatever.
So here he is on an interview with Piers Morgan, and this sounds like pre-production. He's about to jump into the show with him, so they're just having some friendly banter back and forth. Obviously, he's got his hair people there trying to get him ready and get ready for the interview.
I got to say, when I came to New York a couple of weeks ago, I couldn't believe how welcoming and friendly everybody was. It was fantastic. I loved it.
Yeah, they really mean it from the owners on down.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's cool to see it. I like that. It's a good, people are nice in this company, I think. They've always been nice to me anyway.
I completely agree. Everyone's been very, very friendly and very nice, and I really appreciate it. But thank you so much for coming on. It's
I bet that doesn't change. Of course.
Yeah. It's just great to have you on my show. I mean, I've been on yours enough times. It's great.
So this is obvious. Okay, so yeah, just to refresh, this is Tucker Carlson about to go live on Piers Morgan's show. So hence, this is right before they go live and whatever segment they were doing at the time.
I think it's totally cool. So let's, if we're going to talk about sex, I'd love to hit some of the fine points of technique. But it's your show. It's totally up to you.
We can certainly talk about your sexual technique, especially after your tanning testicles last week.
Not mine. We'll speak in more general terms, but I've got something to add.
Stage manager, I got to move you. I'm not centered. Okay, so that was hit video number 1. So apparently the only thing that they're coming after is the fact that there's 2 guys joking about, because obviously they're going to talk about sex. And I'm assuming, I haven't watched the video of Tucker on Pierce's show, but I'm assuming, just given what everybody's talking about at this point, we're going to be talking about like sex, gender, all that kind of shit. it's a hit, all right. Amen. I mean, it's a hit piece, but they're making him a hit with the audience. And so you got, Piers Morgan and Tucker Carlson just chopping it up, and he cracks a joke and he goes, "Yeah, I mean, if we're going to talk about sex, let's talk about the finer points of technique." And then everybody laughs because it's fucking funny. Thank you, Joseph. It is absolutely fucking hilarious. And it doesn't stop here. So I have no idea how this is supposed to be reputation damaging at all. It just makes him, for one, it makes him more human, and it humanizes Piers Morgan some more, which I know, generally speaking, these days, the left pretty much hates Piers Morgan as well, especially because he's friendly with, DJ Trump. But this is just, I saw this video, I was like, fuck it, sweet, dude. That's a joke we're going to make here. We would make a joke like that on this show. So props to Tucker Carlson on that one. Huge fan of what that's all about. This one here, let's dive into the next video.
You wouldn't? Okay. I'm not, you know what? I'm not qualified on that score, I will say. I thought his girlfriend was kind of yummy. Just kidding, in case this is being pulled off the bird. Yeah, the bird. Hey, Media Matters for America. Go fuck yourself. That's the first thing I want to say tonight. Second thing is, totally kidding, I don't even know what his girlfriend looks like. And if I did, I would not find her yummy.
Okay, so obviously they're upset about him joking about somebody's girlfriend who he doesn't even have any idea who it is, just joking around saying he's, it'd be yummy. And then really this thing, I think the most cutting portion about this thing actually hits against Media Matters, because if he says anything when they're off air, Media Matters could get a hold of it, and then boom, it lands up on their fucking website and ends up on Twitter. And they're trying to take him down. But this is just funny, especially because the inception of we're fucking around here, I'm making jokes about this dude's girlfriend. I'm no idea what he's actually talking to, like who he's referring to, which girlfriend or anything like that. Who knows? He's just bantering with his production crew, cracking a joke, and then he goes, talking to if they pull it off the bird, which I'm assuming, I think they say is like the satellite that sends data back and forth and all that good shit. So if they get a hold of this thing, fuck you, Media Matters, which is just levels of inception that I am just so happy exist within this clip. It's so funny. It's so fucking funny. They could not make me like Tucker more, but they keep trying. That's basically it. I mean, if you weren't a Tucker fan before all of this, like, it's hard not to be now. He's done so many, particularly like over the last year, he's done so many like random podcast interviews with people, and has just become more of a humanized figure who's not just kind of a pro-establishment, Republican that's a Republican pundit. He's very much the opposite of that these days. He's very anti-establishment. Excuse me. He has lots of problems with the government. He's not afraid to air an entire segment about how the CIA knocked off JFK. I mean, you talk about it, he's unwilling to not go someplace. If he feels like there's a story there or there's truth there to be uncovered, he's going to do that, and he's going to talk about it. We'll talk about some more of that when we talk about like his actual firing and all that good stuff, because there's lots of interesting conversation to be had there. I think this is the final one Media Matters finally they had on their actual website, but there is some more to go. But we'll hit this one next. This one, if I remember correctly, you know what? No preference. We'll just jump in.
I feel great. I can never assess my appearance.
Okay, this one's a little hard to hear. Let me turn this up just as much as I can.
Wait for my postmenopausal fans to weigh in on that. My IFB. What? They want to control me from afar? Okay, I'm putting the leash on. You can... Fuck it, we'll do it live! I got you, baby.
Oh, I love it. So he's joking around about his appearance. He's talking about how he's never really sure how he looks, so he's gonna wait for the response from his postmenopausal fans to find out whether or not he looked good or not. So that right there is that's the cutting, the damning portion of this particular video is in Media Matters' eyes, because he's insulting his audience, who demographic data will show, Nielsen data will show, are a lot of postmenopausal women. So he's just fucking around and joking. And again, more endearing for it. He's more human for it. You can't help but like this dude more after watching these videos. He's like a regular dude. Dive into another one. This comes from Colin Rugg, who I believe, Colin, trendy politics investor, American. Bleh. Yeah, he's whatever. But Media Matters has released another Tucker Carlson leak where Tucker Carlson is talking to his team on set. Can someone tell Media Matters this will make people like Tucker even more? And we will see and be the judge for ourselves.
Well, that was a week, I'll say. Holy shit. 10 hours. That slimy little motherfucker sitting across from me. Oh, you're the best.
So this has to do with, he's kind of recounting, giving his, what do you call that, deposition to the lawyers for the Dominion lawsuit that was going on at the time. So he spent 10 hours with these people giving deposition, which is not uncommon at all, especially when you're talking about a case that ended in almost $1 billion settlement. But, and he's calling this lawyer what he is. He's a fucking slimy motherfucker.
And I wasn't talking about you. It's just the opposite.
He's giving me a complex.
No, I'm not. What do you mean? Because you've never been this affirmed in your life? I bet. Thank you, Alex. Have a happy weekend.
So obviously this is after the show.
See you, man.
Getting cleaned up, get the makeup off.
The amount, it was so unhealthy, the hate. Thank you, Teresa. The hate that I felt for that guy. I mean, thank you, Todd.
How could you not?
I never feel that way, because I don't put myself, I don't want to feel that way. I think it's wrong. It's bad. It's totally bad for you to feel that way. But that guy, I mean, he triggered the shit out of me.
He triggered the shit out of me. Oh, he's just more endearing. He's trying to laugh it off. He's talking about how much he hated this lawyer and how just uncomfortable that made him feel because he doesn't want to hate people. I mean, come on, man.
Where are you now? Where do you live? The amount of times I had, first of all, fuck you on my lips, it's like, it was unbelievable. Suggesting that I was cheating on my taxes?
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. So where are you domiciled? Where are you now? Do you own a home there? I was like, no, I do not own a home in Maine, which I don't, by the way.
Jeez, man. Again, that's supposed to be a hit piece, huh? Okay, talking about how you had a bad time with this slimy lawyer coming after you and your company for, over $1 billion, I think is what they were seeking. Again, love him even more. Good for him. Joseph, I've hated Fox since the 2020 election. A lot of people have, man. I haven't been like a regular Fox News viewer for probably going on... It's probably been about 10 years, to be honest. I mean, back when O'Reilly was on the air and Tucker Carlson was kind of just he was a nobody at the network. Jesse Waters still was kind of a nobody. He was like doing man on the street interviews for Bill O'Reilly. He had a little spin-off show, Waters World and whatever, but like this was so long ago. And ever since then, I walked away from it. Primarily after the Bill O'Reilly thing fell apart. He was the only thing that was like keeping me watching Fox News, and I just kind of fell out and never really came back. Now the best I get is like clips on YouTube from various like shows like The Five or Gutfeld or something like that. I despise the way network news television is produced. I hate how everything is super tiny sound bites. Nobody's really actually honest about things. You get 4 or 5 people on a fucking panel and everybody's got 30 seconds to 45 seconds to try to make a point, which just turns into partisan talking points, battling each other out with zero substance, and nobody ever gets anywhere. It's just, I'm so tired of that entire makeup of legacy media and the whole old school corporate press world. And as we'll get into a little later as we go through some of the numbers, this really, really fucking hurt Fox News. And the numbers involved, I think, are just, they're sad at this point. They're super fucking sad. But let's go on to the next one, because this guy right here, Matthew Gertz, he's the originator, the original leaker for this thing. He's the one that's actually writing these fucking Media Matters articles, if you want to call them that. So he's like the main releaser for all this stuff. So let's check out one more.
Can I ask you a question? You don't have to answer. It's personal. I'm not speaking of you, but more in general of ladies. When they go to the ladies' room and powder their noses, is there actually nose powdering going on?
Sometimes.
Ooh. I like the sound of that.
Who's powdering their nose, bro?
Most of the time it's lipstick.
Do pillow fights ever break out? You don't have to.
Not in the bathroom.
Okay, not in the bathrooms. Okay. That'd be more a dorm activity. Okay.
This is 90% nurse territory.
I'm sorry. So you are such a good sport, such a good person. Thank you.
It's like if you were going to try to knock him for that, like you don't release the whole clip, cut it down to just the one sentence, which is how you guys generally come after people. Just put an out of context, one sentence clip on there for fucking 10 seconds and let that ride. You're defeating your own argument by including the production staff. They're all chuckling, they're laughing, including the woman he's talking to. You know, it's trying to keep it light on set, man.
I know you do, but you do not deserve that, and I mean it with great affection.
I got you, man. Which way do you want to go?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry. Let me tune in.
Get your earbud back in. Again,
Can I ask you a question?
epic, devastating hit piece brought to you by Media Matters. Matthew Gertz, waste of fucking space online. This particular one is really interesting. It's a little longer, and it might be kind of hard to hear. So we'll see if we can get through this thing. I might just add some commentary over top of it to let you know what's actually going on if you can't hear the audio. We'll give it a shot.
Slave to Fox Nation, which I don't think that many people watch anyway. We're gonna because I you know, I'm like a representative of the American media now.
Either talking to his manager or his agent regarding an interview that he's wants to do with Andrew Tate, I believe.
Speaking to an exile in Romania and welcoming him back into the Brotherhood of Journalists.
Yeah, it would help us out if you wore a sweater though, because we asked him not to wear a suit. Like, he was panicking about it. So you don't have to. Tucker's gonna be looking casual. That's just how our show looks.
Okay, so here, obviously, he's having a disagreement with whoever's on the phone. Again, trying to say, like, you know, he's going to be dressing casual. He might, you know, maybe in a sweater or something like that. Doesn't necessarily approve of the suit or something like that. So, brought to you by Pfizer. Just ask Bill O'Reilly. Amen, Joseph. And obviously, Tucker's he's not really into this concept.
I mean, this is airing on the nighttime show, and I want it to look official. I don't want it to be like bro talk. And I, you know what I mean?
How dare you have an air of professionalism,
Like,
Tucker?
if we go like 45 minutes, it's going to be for Fox Nation.
But nobody's going to watch it on Fox Nation. Nobody watches Fox Nation because the site sucks.
Woo.
So I'd really like to just dump the whole thing on YouTube. But anyway, that's just my view. I'm just frustrated with it's hard to use that site. I don't know why they're not fixing it.
So this is the hit piece portion of this, I think, is he's essentially talking shit on his own kind of his company's streaming service. And obviously he was one of the flagship creators that helped kind of give any kind of validity to Fox Nation, this streaming service that they have. And he's venting his problems with the website. And like, here I am. I'm a professional. I'm trying to do this the right way. You know, this is not going to air. I mean, this interview is not designed. It's going to go on the nightly news. It's going to go on the night show, not just thrown up on Fox Nation, which he said nobody uses because it's a broke-ass site. And I've never even entertained the idea of subscribing to Fox Nation, and it sounds like there's been good reasons. I've heard a lot of people talk about just how clunky and crappy the site was, and how like half the stuff just never worked. I'm wearing a suit. Why the fuck did you tell him not to? Is what he wanted to say. Amen.
Driving me insane. And they're like making like Lifetime movies, but they don't work on the infrastructure of the site. Like what? It's crazy, and it drives me crazy because it's like we're doing all this extra work and no one can find it. It's unbelievable, actually. I don't know who runs that site,
We're
but
going to play a sizable chunk on the show tomorrow night. That's the plan. And then what it's going to do is drive a lot of people to watch this on Fox Nation. It's going to be a great help to what we're doing over there on TV today.
I know, but we're doing our part. We're like working like animals to produce all this content, and the people in charge of it, whoever that guy's, whatever his name is, like they're ignoring the fact that the site doesn't work. And I think it's like a betrayal of our efforts. That's how I feel. So of course I resent it.
Whew. Hit piece of all hit pieces, man. Tough stuff. An active creator who actually cares about his work and the reputation of the content and effort that him and his team put forward, and the overall outlook of the larger company that he works for. He's upset that it doesn't work and it's a clunky piece of shit and people can't find the content they want, and he's airing his grievances and saying like, bro, if I'm going to do this interview, it's going to be on the night show and not, I don't care if it's up on Fox Nation, because nobody's going to fucking find it if it's over there. Nobody's going to watch it if it's over there. Fucking devastating hit piece. Devastating. Well, after all of these leaks came out, there was there's some legal paperwork that's been put out there by Fox News. So this comes from the law firm of Wilson Sonsini, and it reads, Dear Mr. Curasone, who is the president and CEO of Media Matters for America, we write on behalf of Fox Corporation to clarify any misunderstandings Media Matters may have had regarding previously unaired footage that Media Matters has published in a series of articles headlined Fox Leaks. The unaired footage is Fox's confidential intellectual property. Fox did not consent to its distribution or publication, and Fox does not consent to its further distribution or publication. This proprietary material was given to you without Fox's authorization. Fox demands that Media Matters cease and desist from distribution, production, and misuse of Fox's misappropriated proprietary footage, which you are now on notice was unlawfully obtained. We reserve all rights and remedies. Sincerely, so on and so forth. Lawyer talk. So that was we got some lawyers involved saying that you guys gained access to this intellectual property, is their argument at this point. Saying it was never meant for you. It's not, we never agreed for it to be aired on the internet. We never agreed for you to even have access to this extra footage, which we as Fox own. And so you must immediately desist and stop posting this shit. Well, Media Matters had a response to that, which came out a little while later, saying that Media Matter President Curzon reached the following statement after Fox sent a letter seeking to clarify any misunderstandings about the series of behind-the-scenes videos of Tucker Carlson published on the Fox leaks. Fox is asking an organization to stop publishing the leaked material. Quote, reporting on newsworthy leaked material is a cornerstone of journalism. For Fox to argue otherwise is absurd and further dispels any pretense that they're a news operation. Perhaps if I tell them that the footage came from the combination of WikiLeaks and Hunter Biden's laptop, it will alleviate their concerns. So first off, I don't know, generally speaking, when we're talking about leaks, particularly the ones that like were on, given to WikiLeaks and Julian Assange, we're talking about governmental information, not intellectual property of a private company, much less one that's held here within the United States itself. So I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but that I don't know where the legal line is on that one. This is not groundbreaking news. It's not proof of corruption within this organization. I have no idea what the legal aspect of this is. It sounds to me like Fox is making the case that this is essentially just private information. It's proprietary information. Somebody owns this content, and you did not have it. You weren't supposed to have it, but you got a hold of it somehow because somebody is leaking it to you. And there's only one place that it could be leaked from, within Fox News. So that's another aspect of this thing. And so I'd be curious what's going to happen with this one. If they actually pursue a lawsuit on them, I think it's eye-opening that Fox is actually looking at legal action at this point. Even if it's just like a threatening letter from their lawyer or, staff of lawyers, who knows how all that shit works. I'm sure they got a fucking army of lawyers behind them. But this indicates to me that Fox News doesn't want this stuff out there. They probably really don't want it out there after all the rating numbers that came out really were really, really bad. We'll get into some of those after this. But yeah, I'll be interested. I mean, they just forked out $750 million to another company, and maybe they want to try to recoup some of those losses and go after Media Matters, because God, that would be amazing. I would love for Media Matters to just get sunk so hard in a like a civil dispute like this to just destroy them. That would be fantastic. Joseph, let's catch up here. I'm 100% with him, and Rumble doesn't work. The buffering is unacceptable. Crowder's Mug Club doesn't work. The buffering is unacceptable. The Blaze doesn't work. The buffering is unacceptable. The Daily Wire doesn't work. The buffering is unacceptable. Seriously, though, why does YouTube work so much better? Is it because it's Google? Yes, 100%. It's because YouTube, owned by Google, in particular now, whenever those two behemoth companies merged, I don't remember when it was, but whenever Google bought out them, Google has the infrastructure, the actual infrastructure that most of what we all do and partake on the internet goes through. Between Amazon Web Services and whatever, I don't know if it's which company it is, whatever, if it's Google, if it's Alphabet, whatever actual entity, has all the servers and all that shit, they have all of it because they were the main ones that were around at the beginning. So they've been working on building this infrastructure up to support the scale that it is required to hold on to now. I mean, the burden that they have to bear as far as bandwidth is fucking insane. I can only imagine. It's something like there's years worth of video uploaded fucking every minute on YouTube, some shit. We're definitely helping to be responsible for that, which is hilarious. But yeah, no, I 100% agree with you, Joseph. The Rumble app is garbage. There's always an issue with it. I have way better luck for some reason than Donovan does, because I'm not watching Crowder anymore. I'm doing a Crowder boycott for lots of reasons, which we'll probably talk about on the show tomorrow. But like, when I was watching Crowder still, I was watching it on Rumble, and it was like the live stream aspect of it was terrible. Half the time it didn't even work. So I would always wait for the whole video to come out and then watch it after it was kind of archived. That seemed to be the only way I could actually get it to work. Not as many issues with Russell Brand's show, which is also on Rumble. But there's generally some kind of issue every time I try to use that app. There's a couple features I do like that they have kind of built into the app, which is really nice. Something I hate about YouTube, at least the mobile app, is if you're watching something, unless you pay for fucking YouTube Pro or YouTube, I don't even know what they call it now, but whatever the paid version of premium YouTube is, like, you can't shut your screen off without it, shutting down. So if you're trying to listen to a video for something like that, I do that a lot at work. I have a put a YouTube video on and just kind of put the phone over there and then occasionally just glance at it as I'm working. But, you know, if I was going to shut the screen off because I can't watch anyways, can't listen to whatever it is I was watching. But Rumble has that capability, which is pretty cool. I do like that. And they don't charge extra for it. That's fine. It would be way better if their fucking app worked more than, 60% of the time. That would be nice. I've never had any issues with the Daily Wire app, but then again, I don't watch too much on it, and then every time I do watch something on it, it's always something that's archived, so I'd imagine the buffering issues are probably not as bad, maybe. Either that or maybe I just got a dope phone. Because, well, like I said, I want to talk to Donovan about it tomorrow when he's back in the studio, because his experience with the Rumble app is so different than mine. I don't quite understand why that would be the case, because we both have relatively new phones. We're both on the same internet, at work and all this shit, so it doesn't feel like it should be an issue. But yeah, Blaze, I was a member of the Blaze for a little bit back when Crowder was over there, but I never used the app. If they had an app, I just watched it on my computer and never had any actual issues there. But yeah, the huge problem here is that when you're going to strike out on your own and create something new, you have to be able to compete with the big dogs. And the best way for you to do that is, for one, offer quality content. That's key, obviously, but it's actually not the first most important thing in my mind. The most important thing that you would need to do if you wanted to create a new piece of tech or a new piece of software to try to compete against the big guys is your piece of software, your app needs to work without error, without any issues whatsoever. You need to make it so that the clientele you're trying to capture and bring over to your platform know that when they go there, their experience is going to be just as good, if not better, than the experience they're going to have over on YouTube. And that is far from the case today. Far, far, far from the case today. Rumble just signed, I think we talked about it before on the show, but they signed an agreement with the GOP to be like their main live streamer for the GOP primary debates. They did a massive live stream of State of the Union, I believe, and there was problems with that. Every time Crowder has like some kind of big event, big live streaming event, half the time the app crashes or the videos don't load or something like that. There's always bandwidth issues over there. There's always some kind of network problem. And I know the guys over at Rumble are trying very, very hard. That's what all their fucking friends on the internet say. They're trying very, very hard to do what they can and try to compete. And it's basically a nonstop 24/7 job in doing this stuff. But for God's sakes, if you guys are making all these fucking deals with big ass creators that are going to bring massive audiences over there, you got to get your shit together. Otherwise, you're never going to take off. People will just stop. They'll go back to YouTube, or they're just going to stop and get away from it. More and more of these people nowadays are starting their own little websites with separate paywalls, and they're figuring out ways to get around it and then just be little microcosms in the creator spaces. And if Rumble doesn't get their shit together very, very soon, it's gonna be gone. And then all the investment, all that stuff, just not going to be worth it. It'll just be another defunct fucking app that tried to compete with the big boys, couldn't get their shit together, and lost. Okay, let's catch up here. Let's see. Daily Wire doesn't work. Yep. Said that video with his wife did not... Oh, we're talking about Crowder now. The video with his wife did not sway me from Crowder. The Dave video did more damage to Crowder than his wife. Far from it, indeed. This shit doesn't work, and it's clearly by design. It's clearly by design, Joseph. That's interesting. Like they made a bad app to bring people over and then sync it. I'm curious about that. But yeah, the problem with the Crowder thing, the video about him and his wife, that was tough to watch, obviously. But again, if you're in, I don't know, I think they've been married for over 10 years or something like that. That is such a tiny little sliver of like their lives together and how they might be acting, and we don't know There's so many unknowns about that. I dislike every aspect of that 3.5-minute video. But it was a 3.5-minute video. Don't like it. That just probably just added on to like my biases against him anyways. But the Dave video, like you said, Joseph, the Dave Landau video with Michael Malice, which I recommend everybody watch. It's a fucking phenomenal interview. Again, you're only getting one side of the story, but with other past employees, it kind of sounds like that just kind of is who Steven Crowder is. And I'm become a big Dave Landau fan because of his time on Crowder. And with him gone, period, the show is just, it has not been good anymore. Like I don't know exactly what's going on. Obviously, he's going through divorce, but I mean, he's got big hits like Alex Jones has been in like a rotating chair. The Hodge twins have been on, I think, a couple times. Brian Callen's been on a couple times. I like all those people, and they're all good. But I mean, at the end of the day, I'd rather watch their shows than Crowder show with them on it, because they always just kind of seem whatever. You know, it's at this point, I think I'm just realizing Crowder show is just not for me. It might have been at one point, and I was going to continue to watch it because I know so many people already do, to kind of get an idea what the younger audience is getting, you know, because he's got to be the number one conservative creator or creator on the right that's leading the charge with the young people. So, you know, I used to do that to just make sure I was informed in what's going on there, but I just don't care anymore. I don't think he's that relevant anymore, at least in the big picture sense of things. So Joseph said, no, Google is on every device and it is holding competition back, in my opinion. Oh, I see. Yeah, I mean, that's got to be an aspect. Definitely it's got to be an aspect. And just the ease of use, you know, they've been a company for so long at this point. They know how to streamline the corners, how to like round out the edges just enough to make that user experience real smooth or really addictive, so you just don't stop coming back to it. I mean, the addictivity, yeah, that's a fucking word. The addiction aspect of, you know, even YouTube, like just the app YouTube or even on the website YouTube, the addictive nature to how the algorithm is set up and what it's feeding you, they're crazy. They own the internet. Well, I mean, you're not wrong. I got to do some more thinking about that one. Because they run all of it. I mean, again, why their apps work better too. Because they run the fucking internet. And it would be real easy to just throttle people's bandwidth down. Be really interested. I need to know more about like how internet infrastructure works. I'd be curious to go back to some of the interviews with the CEO of Rumble. You know, maybe a year ago, he was kind of making the rounds a lot. I'd be interested if he talked about that kind of thing. But I got to talk to some techies too and really figure out how does the internet work? We got to figure it out for me to have a full understanding of this. But yeah, you know, I can't argue with that. Fucking Google owns the internet, bro. That's what's up. Okay, let's get back to Tucker Carlson for a minute. We should just ask Google. Yeah, what's their new fucking AI chatbot? What's the Google one? Is the Google one ChatGPT? I don't know, bro. I don't know. There's too many of them. There's too many of these little chatbots these days. All right, back to Tucker Carlson. So Tucker Carlson gets fired, or they part ways. I believe it was the 21st. He ended his show on Friday the 21st. Said, we'll see you guys Monday. And then it was like 10 minutes before his Monday show was supposed to start. They were like, we're not doing it. Nobody's doing it no more. It's just not going to happen. And so he's effectively fired. Whether or not he's actually fired in legal terms, that'll be hazy. It would probably be really stupid for them to fire him because there's probably a lot of contractual obligations they'd have to pay out to him. And then after having just paid $750 million to Dominion, they probably weren't keen on that. They probably have a tighter lockdown on his mouth and what he can say and do while he's still technically employed by the company. But because of the nature of how all this stuff works, and this should be a fucking red flag to everybody that thinks Fox News is dope, they're just as fucked up as all the other places. The fact that they would have an entertainer, their biggest entertainer, their biggest draw in the key demo numbers, and that whatever was going on, they were like, you got to go. And now the guy's silenced, essentially, and he's not doing anything. That seems very, very problematic to me if you are going to stand as Fox News and be like, you know, we like to challenge authority and, you know, talk about truth, and we're the conservatives that fight against the vicissitudes and the censorship of the left. You guys are the same shit. So, but anyways, it did not take long for people to start entertaining. It was similar to like when Crowder was leaving Blaze. Everybody's like, well, who's going to offer? Who's going to make him an offer? You know, can anybody afford him? He's so big. What? Is he just going to go out and make his own thing? I mean, he did start a news network, the Daily Caller, at one point. So he obviously, I mean, he's got the money. He's got the smarts. He's definitely got the content chops. But there's only been one true offer that I know of that I think makes any sense whatsoever, and that came from the great and powerful Patrick Bet David of the PBD podcast. Patrick Bet David is just fucking awesome. Huge fan of his show. Comes out a couple times a week on YouTube, and very, 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 very interesting guy. But his overall company is called one of his companies is called Valuetainment Media, and so he reached out and says, "Dear Tucker Carlson, here's why we believe we're the right fit for you. This letter of intent from the CEO, Patrick Bet David, and it says, on May 2nd, 2023, Dear Tucker, I'll get right to the point. We want you to partner with us in what we feel is a noble and necessary effort to define the future of media. Here's our offer. $100 million over 5 years. An equity stake in the company Valuetainment. President of Valuetainment and a board seat to project your strategic vision and voice. To project your strategic vision and voice. Your own podcasts and other daily/weekly shows, documentaries and movies covering topics you care about. What else? ? We're all ears. Our convictions about freedom, liberty, and truth run deep, and we believe we are the absolute right fit for you and America. While we may not be the biggest media company, we are a new media leader driving into the future to make truth, fair debate, and commentary more accessible, consumable, and protected. We are 100% serious about our offer. Respectfully, PBD. $100 million over 5 years. Equity stake in the company, so he would own a portion of the company, and he would become president of the company with a board seat, so he could help direct the entire company's position, and then basically whatever else you fucking want. Just come here, we'll pay you money. You could take it and run with it. Let's fucking go. Huge fan of that situation. It reminds me of a board game about our overlords. I'll give you Tucker if you give me Don Lemon and suck. Sold. That's right. To go along with this, Don Lemon also lost his job on Monday. That same Monday that Tucker Carlson found out that he was gone is the same Monday that the execrable human being known as Don Lemon also got fired. He obviously doesn't have very much market value anymore. One might say he's past his prime, if you guys get that reference. So I'd be interested. He'll probably just go get like some kind of bullshit professorship at a university, like his old coworker, Brian Stelter, who's just terrible. But yeah, as we continue with the great saga of the Tucker, he got that nice Valuetainment offer, which was actually announced on the Megyn Kelly show by PBD himself when he was a guest on there. But I've been watching a lot of Megyn Kelly's show lately because she knows Tucker from her time over at Fox, and they've been friendly and all this stuff. So she's got a lot of little inside tidbits and stuff like that. And she's been unceremoniously run off from multiple networks for wanting to, essentially speak truth to power or kind of become a little bit more anti-establishment or whatever. So, but she goes in this little clip here, she goes over some of the fallout from Tucker's leaving.
They've lost almost 2 2/3 of the audience that helps pay their bills. They're left with about 1/3 of their audience. I mean, that's stunning.
That's a
and
lot.
I looked up and down the board at the rest of the prime time, which with all due respect to the daytime is all anyone gives a shit about over there at Fox News. The prime time pays the bills, period. They're all down.
Also, like seeing Megyn Kelly like swearing on stream and on her show and stuff like that, because it looks like the old like news sets that she used to be on, except now she's in a t-shirt in this one, but she can tend to dress more casual, and she just curses left and right. What up, Bilbo? Shout out, big guy.
Just did a quick calculation. The 9 p.m. demo, which of course is Hannity, he follows Tucker, is down almost 40%, down 39%. The 10 p.m. down 24% in the demo, down almost 20% in the total. And I could go on. The 11 o'clock got hurt too. Greg Gutfeld, he was averaging 1745 a night in the overall. Now he's down to 1586. He was averaging 258 in the demo. Now he's down to 207. And that's the least hurt hour. All the others are down double digits. They have lost repeatedly to MSNBC. They've lost
That's
almost
rough. They lost repeatedly to MSNBC after Tucker being destroyed. Nice t-shirt. Pray for rain. I'm a pig. Pray for no, Joseph. You're just a man who has good taste in women, especially older women, because I believe she's 50, and Megyn Kelly is still a smoke show. Always has been, always will be. You know, plus professional makeup and all that stuff really helps too, but hey, that's fine. So just a little bit covered the actual numbers here. In the first days after Tucker Carlson's firing, the Fox News, the network had been sharply dropping in its ratings in the 8 p.m. Eastern time hour. Tucker Carlson tonight, blah, blah, blah. Yep. Talk about some comparisons between All In with Chris Hayes over on MSNBC. But for Fox News, which has dominated cable news as the most watched network for years, and the early ratings data are concerning and will put added pressure on the network to select a permanent replacement for Carlson. Each of the shows in FNC's Fox News Channel's primetime lineup until this week had held a firm grip in first place. So slipping behind MSNBC at 8 p.m. is noteworthy, and it's fucking troubling if you were that network. Last Friday, so his last night, Carlson's last night, he drew a total audience of 2.65 million viewers. That number largely held on Monday night, 2.59 viewers, but was cut to 1.7 million viewers on Tuesday, and then 1.3 million viewers on Wednesday. Just 50% of Carlson's audience from 5 days earlier. Down 50% in overall viewers. Fox News also lost among adults 25 to 54, aka the key demo, valued by advertisers. On Wednesday night, Fox News Tonight drew 124,000 viewers, which put Fox in third place behind All In with Chris Wallace. Boo! And CNN's Anderson Cooper. Brett Cooper, you know where my mind's at. Anderson Cooper, 360. Second place, 139,000 viewers in the key demo. For MSNBC's Wednesday night's ratings represented All In's first win. Fucking first win. They got their first W. Good job, guys. Since February 2021. Damn. So Fox is bleeding. They bleed now hard. Now, we kind of went over, what were they saying? His average was 1.7, or was down to 1.7. So he was, I think overall he averaged around 3.03 million viewers over more or less the lifetime of his show, which is a thing because on April 26th, roughly a week after his departure, Tucker Carlson posted this 2-minute long video on his Twitter, which is currently up to 80.6 million views. 80.6 million views. Destroying his old numbers. And I believe just within 24 hours of this coming out, this 2-minute long video, this little 2-minute long monologue, he was up to like 20 million views already. The dude devastated his own numbers overnight just with this 2-minute long video. So let's watch that just so we can give Tucker Carlson his nice peace out Girl Scout. But you know what? We're not going to do it on Twitter. We're going to go to his only home right now, which is over at tuckercarlson.com, which basically has a few links to some of his speeches that he's done since he left Fox News, and then some merch. And then if you want to get on his newsletter, you could do that, because as legal battles that I know are definitely going to be happening about how he actually exits, he's kind of gone radio silent. So let's watch this as our farewell to Tucker Carlson before we end the show tonight. Oh, it's going to bring us right back to his Twitter anyways.
Tucker Carlson. Good evening, it's Tucker Carlson.
Good evening.
One of the first things you realize when you step outside the noise for a few days is how many genuinely nice people there are in this country. Kind and decent people, people who really care about what's true, and a bunch of hilarious people also.
What a nice set too, man. That's like, it's all real wood. You know, the embedded lighting, and it's just real nice. Super jelly, bro. I need some professional studio work over here.
It's got to be the majority of the population, even now. So that's heartening. The other thing you notice when you take a little time off is how unbelievably stupid most of the debates you see on television are.
Oh,
they're
terrible.
completely irrelevant. They mean nothing. In 5 years, we won't even remember that we had them. Trust me, as someone who's participated. And yet at the same time, and this is the amazing thing, the undeniably big topics, the ones that will define our future, get virtually no discussion at all.
Amen.
War, civil liberties, emerging science, demographic change, corporate power, natural resources.
This is why everybody comes here to Salt the Streets, right? Because we give you that kind of info.
When was the last time you
Those
heard
are
a
the discussions we're
legitimate
having.
debate about any of those issues? It's been a long time. Debates like that are not permitted in American media. Both political parties and their donors have reached consensus on what benefits them, and they actively collude to shut down any conversation about it. Suddenly, the United States looks very much like a one-party state. That's a depressing realization, but it's not permanent. Our current
Bro, get with the Uniparty project, okay? We know what the Uniparty is, bro. You don't gotta
orthodoxies
tell us.
won't last.
We're all fans
They're
of you
brain
like that.
dead. Nobody actually believes them. Hardly anyone's life is improved by them. This moment is too inherently ridiculous to continue, and so it won't. The people in charge know this. That's why they're hysterical and aggressive. They're afraid. They've given up persuasion. They're resorting to force. But it won't work. When honest people say what's true, calmly and without embarrassment, they become powerful. At the same time, the liars who've been trying to silence them shrink, and they become weaker. That's the iron law of the universe. True things prevail. Where can you still find Americans saying true things?
On the
There
internet.
aren't many places left, but there are some, and that's enough.
Not on cable news.
As long as you can hear the words, there is hope.
And unfortunately, he was probably the last bastion of any kind of truth-telling on cable news. I mean, he would have people like Glenn Greenwald on there. I mean, he Jimmy Dore came onto his show. He was the only person doing that kind of like internet-worthy conversation. I mean, something that if you were to come across somebody with a set of cans on their head, talking into a microphone, looking into a cheap webcam, just talking about what's going on in the world, those are the same types of conversations and the same stories and the same ideas that he was talking about on his show. And he was the only one really doing that in the mainstream corporate press. And obviously there's a reason he had to go. There's lots of conversation about what it might have been, excuse me, that took him off the air. There's some stuff with Rupert Murdoch and, you know, his wife and something like that. Or some people look at the Dominion lawsuit and how he was utterly responsible for all of that stuff. I mean, he talked about his 10-hour-long deposition earlier. But, I mean, it could have been his coverage of the Jan 6 stuff, the Jan 6 tapes, because we all remember when those were coming out, it was supposed to be a big, long trickle of all this stuff, and he did it for a couple days, and then it was over. They just somehow or other, I would assume Fox News put a fucking stop to it and said no. I mean, he literally helped get somebody out of, he got the fucking Q shaman out of prison by exposing the actual video that the fucking government themselves hid from the public during their big prime time fucking aired bullshit show trial. So I mean, it could be the fact that he called out the CIA for off in JFK. I mean, it could have been 1,000 different things. He went against the grain of the corporate press so often, and he was so anti-establishment towards the end of it. They could have wanted him out for any number of reasons. So we'll see. We'll see what happens to him. He's definitely not going to just go softly into that good night or whatever the turn of phrase is. He'll be around somewhere. I would assume, as much as I want him to go to Valuetainment and work over with Patrick Bet-David, because the two of them would be fucking rock stars together. But I imagine he's just going to start something on his own. There's no reason not to. He's filthy fucking rich. He's got the money to do it. But man, if he does something like that, he better do it right. He better do it right. And I would assume, it feels like he's got a good team around him, so I would hope whatever he does it in a smart way. Maybe some kind of individualistic type thing. I don't think anybody can really truly pay him what essentially he's worth at that point. But normal guy's conversation is absolutely unacceptable in this facade of polite society in media we live in. Amen, Joseph. I got to quit saying that. You know, I'm not a religious dude, but it just fucking works. Every time you drop some heat, Joseph, got to do a amen. Just amen's better than hallelujah. But yeah, it'll be interesting. The minute I hear he signs a fucking deal with Rumble is the day I completely give up on Rumble as an alternative platform. There's no way that would ever work out. They can't afford him, and for one, they don't have the infrastructure to actually support the current talent they fucking have now, which is really fucking sad. I don't know how Locals works, but hopefully Dave Rubin, when he sold Locals to Rumble, hopefully his fucking the company he built, Locals, still operates right. But you know I ain't against it. There you go, buddy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're calling it quits for the night. Be sure to follow me at Big Bird Offie on all the things, and of course my cohort, brother in arms, Mr. Donovan Phillips himself. He's at alpaca_Donovan on Instagram and at Salt the Street on Twitter. And of course, he is the head honcho behind our at Salt the Streets Instagram. And because it's just his Instagram game is fire. So that's just what he does because he's badass. But also be sure to follow us on Patreon over patreon.com/saltofthestreets. Support us. Help us make more, better content. And we will see everybody tomorrow, noon Pacific time, right here, Salt the Streets channel, for a fantastic episode of Salt the Streets Podcast, episode 147. We'll see you guys there. If I can end the stream.